morning, bright and early. Thanks for tuning into the Breakfast Club. I'm Kritsween. And this morning, viewers, we go all the way back to the big health debate brewing across the world. And this one's caught everyone's attention because it revolves around Paracetamol, an over-the-counter drug all of us carry in our handbags, office bags, even travel bags, is perhaps in our bedroom side drawers as well. So we'll talk about that, the latest comment that's come in from US President Donald Trump, how much truth really is there to that big claim. And then we talk about the response that's come in for the new guidelines issued by CBSE for class 10th and 12th students. One of the many rules include a mandatory 75% attendance. Is everyone happy about this? Surely a much needed push for discipline, but what does it mean for those giving competitive exams and overall well-being of the students? That interesting conversation coming up with school principals and students in just a bit. First up, a quick check of these two headlines. We start with the paracetamol debate as it heats up amid autism claims that have been made by President Donald Trump. Millions take paracetamol safely. Why is there so much panic then over its usage? Science says only one thing, the social media conversation talking about the other aspect. Why are doctors pushing back on this big scare coming in? And most importantly, is paracetamol safe in pregnancy? All of those questions will be answered by top doctors joining us in just a bit. And while CBSE has made the 75% attendance mandatory for board examinations to sit for the exams to begin with, no internal assessment, no result is what CBSE rules say. 2-year study is now mandatory for class 10th and 12th students. We'll talk a little bit about what that really means, what these stricter rules means for students, especially the ones also giving competitive exams. How are they taking this? How is the school coping with these new rules? That conversation coming up next. But first, there's a new health talk making global headlines, and this time it's about paracetamol. It's the same pill millions of pregnant women and others take for a headache or a mild fever, and suddenly it's being blamed for autism in children. Not just that, vaccines being given to children early on is also being blamed as much for autism. All of this based on a set of studies that are now being misused, misread and misquoted by some influencers and by people in charge of public health policy in the US. But what's the science really saying? Are these claims backed by any serious medical consensus? We're doing this story because fear travels faster than facts. And it's important to ask this morning, what do we actually know? What is the real truth? So before the WhatsApp forwards run away with the narrative, let's get you the truth. Here's a quick explainer. We break down this story on how the paracetamol autism scare began and why experts and scientists across the world are calling it a dangerous distraction. Take a look.
America's new public health policy isn't coming from scientists. It's coming from conspiracy theorists. President Donald Trump and his health secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are now linking childhood vaccines and paracetamol to autism without a shred of credible proof. And they're not just saying it, they're making it federal policy. This began with a press conference at the White House.
I want to say it like it is. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. If you just can't, I mean, it's fight like hell not to take it. There may be a point where you have to, and that you have to work out with yourself. So don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. Don't take it.
Trump also said that vaccines, especially the MMR triple shot, should be split up or delayed. Why? Just a feeling, he said. No data, peer-reviewed science, but just a feeling. The heart of this policy shift is RFK Jr.'s MAHA movement, short for Make America Healthy Again. It's a mix of anti-vax beliefs, raw food culture and wellness pseudoscience, now promoted as US health doctrine. RFK Jr. now oversees a $2 trillion federal department with over 80,000 employees, and he's rolled out the MAHA report, a 300-page blueprint warning against vaccines, pesticides, psychiatric drugs and paracetamol.
First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good.
Medical experts say some studies cited in the report don't even exist.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Even the White House press secretary later admitted that the data was flawed. But the administration stood by the report anyway, calling it one of the most transformative health documents ever released. Let's take a look at the actual evidence. Several studies have suggested a correlation between paracetamol or Tylenol use during pregnancy and autism. But correlation is not causation. A landmark 2024 study in Sweden tracked 2.5 million children. They found no causal link. In fact, when they compared siblings, one exposed to paracetamol in the womb, the other not, any link disappeared entirely. UK, US and Australian guidelines continue to recommend paracetamol as the safest painkiller during pregnancy, because the real danger is untreated high fever, which can cause birth defects, miscarriages or low birth weight. So why attack paracetamol? Autism rates in the United States have risen from 1 to 150 children in 2000 to 1 in 30 today. But the reasons are complex. Evolving diagnostic criteria, better screening, more awareness, genetic and environmental overlap. Experts say blaming medication taken during pregnancy without any evidence only stigmatizes mothers. It shifts the burden of proof onto them and ignores the overwhelming genetic contribution to autism. Medical bodies around the world, from the FDA, CDC, NHS to Australia's TGA, have rejected Trump's claims. But the damage is already done. Kenvue, the maker of Tylenol, lost $2.6 billion in market value overnight. The FDA will now issue a warning label despite the lack of causality. Doctors say public trust is collapsing and vaccine hesitancy is surging again, just as measles outbreaks are rising in the US. A scientific consensus built over decades is being undone in a matter of weeks.
It is tragic that we see this vaccine skepticism, because even though the number of additional deaths in the rich world is likely to be modest, every life should count. And when the poor countries hear that skepticism, it spreads there as well. And there, the chance of a child dying when they get measles is about 30% versus about 1% in rich countries. And so tragically, that skepticism, which is not well-founded, will have caused more deaths outside the country than inside the country.
So with RFK Jr., you've agreed to disagree?
On vaccines, yes.
Well, let's now go across to our experts, our doctors joining us this morning. First up, Dr. Hema Devakar, Medical Director, Senior Consultant, Obstetrics, Gynecologist, Well Women Healthcare, FIGO, is with us. She joins us from Bengaluru. Very good morning, Doctor. Thank you for sparing the time. Also with us is Dr. Vivek Jain, Senior Director of Pediatrics at Fortis Hospital in Delhi. Good morning, Dr. Jain. Let me begin with the lady here, Dr. Hema. Let's talk about this first sound that's come through via this big headline. A world leader says, pregnant women should fight as hard as possible before taking that paracetamol that's lying in front of you. Like I said, it's one drug we all carry in our handbags, office bags, perhaps, bedroom side drawers as well. But with someone like him making this kind of a comment, what's your first analysis, first thought as a medical professional, not as a politician or perhaps as people like us who are out there to judge and perhaps confused?
Good morning, Kritsween, and thank you for calling us on the show, which really brings forth 2 points. One is, even if it's a paracetamol, don't take it without doctor's guidance. So that's a general message for everybody. And the pediatrician colleague is here, and more will be known about autism. So it's a kind of an indirect awareness program. So that's we are good to go. The medical fraternity, it's not only us, but also the pregnant woman herself and the entire family and her friends who are very, very, very guarded on their own about anything that they do. It's not only as simple as taking the paracetamol, for example, but also, should I lie down to the left and sleep? Can I travel by auto rickshaw? Can I can I eat this or that? So for almost everything, because pregnancy and anxiety are like two sides of the coin, as in today's era, so everybody is worried about doing one thing or the other. And definitely the way the viral infection spreads, the viral news about the paracetamol and the pregnancy. Can you just imagine how many calls and how many messages I must have got since the last 24 hours? Because so many of our pregnant patients in the last couple of months, when the infection is in the air and the high spikes of fever are there, and we have to give them the drug and they've already taken it, you can imagine their mindset today. Oh God, what will happen to my child because I've already swallowed the paracetamol? This is the level of anxiety which is rising. And to place it in the proper perspective, Kritsween, it is that when it's needed, we as doctors think paracetamol is the safest thing to give, because high fever is really not to be left untreated. The infection which brings about the fever, we always ask the patient to monitor the temperature, and only if it rises about certain level, we tell them, okay, now you can take the paracetamol, but not treating the fever. This is a very, very important point. Being scared and not treating the fever can cause many more problems, the miscarriages, the premature deliveries, the high spike of fever in pregnancy, for example. That itself can disrupt the organ formation and bring with it lot of problems for the children. So everything needs to be guarded, and as a general rule, which our pregnant patients, rural or urban, across India, there is one thing in pregnancy that they do. They are always checking with the medical professionals, and if we do not speak with conviction about what the science says, I'm sure these confusions and anxiety will only escalate. So,
well, Dr. Hema, you
Yes.
surely know your patients really well, and you seem to have a lot of faith in your patients. So we're going to go by that, and we're going to assume that that's what people are doing overall, especially pregnant women, given how concerned they are, how careful they are through and through their pregnancy. Dr. Jain, can I come in and ask you this then? Tell us a little bit. Separate, the facts and these big claims being made for us then, because this world leader has very conveniently gone on to link paracetamol and also vaccines being administered to young children as directly linked with autism. Now that's a big claim in itself. Tell us what science, research, etc. has laid out for us, and where does that leave us today? Do we conveniently put this aside and move on and say, no, enough has not been researched on this, these are unproven claims still, let's not worry, let's not fearmonger, more importantly?
So thank you, first of all, Kritsween, for inviting me for this show. So I would want to just first of all upfront say whatever claims have been put across by Mr. Trump, there has been no scientific robust data available to support it. And even the White House, as we have seen in the report, has claimed, it's there's no real data available as of now. And fortunately, most of the World Health Agencies, whether it is WHO, whether it is European medical agencies, they have all come up with support to this claim, against it. So when we talk about paracetamol, and as our obstetrician colleague has already cleared this doubt, there has been no relation whatsoever. It's just that because of such claims, there can be a lot of fear amongst general population. And think about the parents who are dealing with their children already having autism. Now they will go back to those data. My gynecologist gave me paracetamol during pregnancy, and that led into this issues. So far there is no data to support it, and I can safely say that paracetamol is one of the safest drugs which we have available right now in the world. Imagine a lady is going through pain and we can't use paracetamol. So they'll end up using something which is more dangerous, which can be more harmful. whether it is stronger painkillers or stronger, analgesics, or sometimes even antibiotics. So yes, clearly, I would say that we should be a little mindful without taking this claim on face value. But fortunately, most of the evidence is against it. Now, coming to the next point, which is very, very, very important from a pediatrician's perspective, is the vaccine claim. So, when we talk about vaccine is one of the most important, I would say, a move which has happened in last 50 years, which has saved a lot of lives across the world. So, just to put across the data, so every year we save as many as 50 million kids due to vaccine preventable diseases. And we, as the developing nation, are the major sufferers because of most of these vaccine preventable diseases happen in our country. And there is already a lot of vaccine hesitancy because of various, so-called Instagram claims or so forth. So, certain influencers who are talking about vaccines. So if something like this comes against vaccines from somebody of that authority, it makes things much more difficult. So
just speaking logically, Dr. Jain, correct me if I'm wrong. For instance, in the case of autism here, isn't autism also diagnosed at around the same time? For children, I'm speaking of children here. At the same time that their routine vaccination also takes place. So linking the two, the sound of it is quite bizarre, isn't it?
So definitely, yeah. So you are correct. Actually, the autism is mostly diagnosed between 1 to 3 years of age, and obviously we are seeing a lot of rise in cases of autism, and it is mostly related to a better diagnostic tools available. It's nothing to do with that there are more vaccines available, there are more medications available that is leading into more autism. So yes, as you said, it is very, very scary. Autism is something very huge. And if you say anybody that the vaccines can lead into autism, parents will be thinking twice before coming for the vaccination, and that will lead into a significant rise in these vaccine preventable diseases. And if we talk about just one disease, which is measles, so we lose as many as 5 million. We used to lose about 5 million lives every year just because of vaccine preventable disease. And if the measles outbreak happen again, we'll start losing another 2-3 million lives just because of single disease of measles. And most of the claims have been against the MMR vaccines. So there has been enough robust data available. So I would want to tell to your audience through this medium is that MMR, the one vaccine which is thought to be most notorious, it is one of the most important vaccine. And there has been no data across various multi-centric, multi-trials. There has been no data to support that MMR leads into autism.
Okay. You've put it out very brilliantly, and you've really cleared out some of those doubts perhaps parents watching this are going to be looking at in hindsight. But Dr. Hema, to really take this point forward and go back to the drawing board, and all those wondering then how is it that so conveniently, while citing some quote-unquote evidences, a world leader that enjoys the kind of status he does is made this statement so conveniently, passed it off and put the blame solely on some of these medications, some of these vaccines. Tell us a little bit about the story then, and let's go back to the fetal stage. What are these factors that play an important role that could lead to autism in early years?
Yeah, sure. This is a very, very important question that you raised, Kritsween. The two words which are making the rounds are association and causation. And then it can be even more confusing if the explanation is not clear. For example, the simplest thing, looking at you, I can say that if Kritsween was born fair, we have to presume that she will be tall, because fairness and tallness are associated with each other. Can we say that? No. When the child is born fair, it depends on the genetics of the parents, it depends on the nutrition, it depends on the lifestyle, it depends on the infections that the child has battled with, it depends on so many other things which will make the child short or tall. So these is associations, and it is not that the fairness is the cause of the tallness. So that is the kind of simplistic explanation that we may have to give to the lay people. But what causes autism, if at all it does, is paracetamol. What the science is trying to tell is not the cause. It may be incidental that she has taken it, but did the women have the genetic potential to unfold the autism in to the fetal formation, whereby the early childhood and infancy, these will be manifest as how the pediatricians will try to diagnose and hit upon something that they need to act upon. Then there could be the women's age, whether she had fever in the early part of the pregnancy, which itself may be a disruptor of the organ formation. Then the exposure to several other toxins, the lack of taking folic acid, which is again something that every pregnant woman or those who are planning to be pregnant should and must take, because the neural tube defects, this is a very strongly evidence-based given all over. So this is something that actually they have to take across the counter because that's a useful thing to do. So there are several factors which may lead to autism, and you cannot place your finger that this woman has taken paracetamol in whichever month of her pregnancy for whatever length of time, and therefore the child has been diagnosed as autism. That is absolutely incorrect, as how the scientific evidence also says there may be a causal association but not cause and effect as we would scientifically call it. So there are several studies which have refuted already, but there's one single study on which this announcement has been based, and over the largest study done in Sweden also endorses. There are millions of women who have been taking paracetamol, and retrospectively, if you look at autism, paracetamol, pregnancy, the treatment, as it is as a general rule, we as OBGYNs will give the paracetamol for the shortest possible time, only if it is needed, and justify the use of that for the primary problem for which we are giving, high fevers, infections, and that needs to be given. So this kind of a scare, whenever it's needed, also if the patient doesn't take, then it's going to be a disaster.
And I can't
So
help but highlight that time and again, the possible dangers that come with untreated fever. You're telling us, Dr. Hema, that's much more, the magnitude of that is much more than possibly taking 1 dose or 2 doses of paracetamol, right?
Yes.
That's one thing that
absolutely.
everyone watching this must remember. Do not get scared because of what you're reading, what you're hearing, what your social media reels are telling you before taking a paracetamol. Remember that you got to follow your doctor's instructions, and if in doubt, reach out to your doctor. Right, Dr. Hema?
Absolutely, because being scared and not taking it can cause more harm when it's actually needed to be taken, and that does not mean that indiscriminately they must just pop a pill, which our pregnant women, by the way, most certainly never do, because even for every little thing now, they can connect with us through the digital platforms. We are always available 24/7, and they do any which way the news they hear in pregnancy, they'll always want to double check with the healthcare providers, and that's a good thing, because then we need to be balanced and mature and reassuring in the way we guide them, and certainly we will do that job to the best of our capacities.
Lovely. Dr. Jain, have those questions come in from parents already? Have they been speed dialing you and really asking you whether or not they should watch out before giving a paracetamol to their child? Or as a thumb rule, parents, at least the ones who are coming to you, for their children, have known by now that there are a certain safe medicines that are going to be needed, that are going to be given to their children in times of need. For instance, a mild headache or fever, for instance. Tell us a little bit about your personal experience here.
So, fortunately, Mr. Trump hasn't made claim about children taking paracetamol so far, but you never know what's coming up. So, yes, a lot of our ladies, because we come across with children having autism also in our practice. So a lot of the parents have been asking me this question already in the last 24 hours about the autism and the use of paracetamol in pregnancy. But mostly the people are asking about the vaccine safety. So I have to put in that extra effort to reinforce the things to these parents, that because he's already made a simultaneous claim about multiple jabs and MMR vaccine safety, which creates a doubt amongst people about the vaccine safety. So yes, paracetamol, if I tell you honestly, we have been writing it to our patients, and it is a medicine, I would say very confidently, it's one of the safest drugs we use in our pediatric population, and a very important one also.
But there are risks of overuse, right? I think there's consensus on that, and that comes with any drug, not just paracetamol.
Absolutely. That's true with water also. If you take excessive water, that will harm. So paracetamol we should not use, which I tell my parents कि बच्चे को सो बुखार है तो paracetamol दे दे. No, that's not recommended. Paracetamol is to be used when the child is in discomfort or for high fever to comfort the child. It is not that the child is you just give round the clock paracetamol or you give double the dose, it will work better. So there is a recommended dosing schedule which goes per the weight of the child. There is a recommended maximum dose. If we use paracetamol more than the maximum dose, then that can definitely lead to liver toxicity and hepatic issues. There's no doubt about it. But when the recommended dose as prescribed by your pediatrician, paracetamol is a very, very, very safe drug to use.
Okay, and a last quick tip from Dr. Hema as well. You want to come in on that, Dr. Hema? When would you ask your patients or anyone watching this looking at a quick fix from a gynecologist on when they should go for that paracetamol, if at all?
As how I have already outlined, the drug when it's needed, it is to our discretion that we prescribe. And when she runs high fever, pain, infections need to be treated with the SOS instruction of the paracetamol, we do give it. And one more thing I just would like to add about the vaccines, we are so proud of our immunization program in the country with the UWIN app and with the follow-ups being very, very robust. And let's not allow the hesitancy to creep in now and cause the damage to a large extent, because the negative news, as you know, Kritsween spreads really well. So still the bottom line for us on paracetamol would be that yes, even as doctors, we will not be casual about the use of any drugs inclusive of paracetamol, and we'll just not say, okay, ye fever hai to le lo, do char rakho, as you said in the past. Not in pregnancy. Pregnancy, we are anyway guarded, but there are times where the patient needs, we use our discretion, and as I said, the minimal dose, shortest possible time, and she's over the crisis and all is well.
Okay.
But those who have already taken paracetamol in the last few weeks, you can imagine their plight today, how anxious they cannot now remove the drug from the system. But let me reassure them again that you have nothing to fear, because you would have taken instructions from your doctor, and I'm sure that all will be well with your pregnancy.
Thank you, Dr. Hema, Dr. Jain, for that reassurance. Very, very important in times of social media and the kind of trigger that it really leads to every time somebody, a big face who enjoys a certain reputation, comes out, makes these big claims. One is bound to fall for it. But thank you for telling us that there are wonderful doctors out there who are going to take in your queries, who are going to prescribe the right medicine for your body and for your child. Thank you for joining us this morning. We head into a very short break with that. On the other side, we shift our attention to the latest guidelines issued by the CBSE, one of which is 75% attendance that's been made mandatory for class 10th and 12th students. Coming up next is a very interesting panel. We'll be right back.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Vikrant Massey awarded for 12th Phil for portraying with raw honesty and emotional depth the transformative journey of a village boy, once aimless, later unstoppable to become an IPS officer.
विक्रांत मैसी राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार ग्रहण करते हुए और हिंदी फिल्म जवान में अपनी सशक्त प्रस्तुति के लिए श्री शाहरुख खान चुने गए हैं सर्वश्रेष्ठ अभिनेता। आपको प्रदान किया जा रहा है राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार का सम्मान।
अच्छा हो या बुरा हो, पुण्य हो या पाप हो, ये खुद से पूछना क्योंकि मैं भी आप हूं।
Shah Rukh Khan, ladies and gentlemen, globally renowned actor and producer, delivers a powerhouse performance in Jawan, bringing to life a hero who batters not only enemies but also social boundaries.
सर्वश्रेष्ठ अभिनेता का पुरस्कार ग्रहण करते हुए श्री शाहरुख खान। सर्वश्रेष्ठ निर्देशन के पुरस्कार के लिए अब मंच पर श्री सुदीप्तो सेन का स्वागत करते हैं, जिन्हें हिंदी फिल्म द केरला स्टोरी में उनके निर्देशन को सराहते हुए उन्हें स्वर्ण कमल से विभूषित किया जा रहा है।
Nalini Krishna, a Hindu from Kerala.
Tell me, when exactly you joined ISIS?
Sudipto Sen wins for the Kerala story for masterfully capturing each frame to heighten the emotional gravity and realism of the narrative.
श्री सुदीप्तो सेन प्राप्त कर रहे हैं द गोल्डन लोटस। सर्वश्रेष्ठ एनिमेशन, विजुअल इफेक्ट्स, गेमिंग और कॉमिक फिल्म का पुरस्कार तेलुगु फिल्म हनुमान के एनिमेटर और वीएफएक्स सुपरवाइजर श्री वेंकट कुमार जेठी के नाम। आपकी रचनात्मकता का सम्मान करते हुए आपको प्रतिष्ठित स्वर्ण कमल से नवाजा जा रहा है।
Ladies and gentlemen, for its curious blend of live action, animation and visual effects, Hanuman proves that technical excellence and emotional depth can coexist, earning its place as a visual spectacle.
और मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ फिल्म हनुमान के प्रोड्यूसर प्राइम एंटरटेनमेंट की ओर से श्री निरंजन रेड्डी। आप भी ग्रहण कर रहे हैं द गोल्डन लोटस। तालियों का जोश बनाए रखें, क्योंकि फिल्म हनुमान के डायरेक्टर श्री प्रशांत वर्मा पेनमेंसा को भी उनके उत्कृष्ट योगदान के लिए प्राप्त हो रहा है गोल्डन लोटस। फिल्म हनुमान के डायरेक्टर श्री प्रशांत वर्मा पेनमेंसा मंच पर पधारते हुए आप ग्रहण कर रहे हैं प्रतिष्ठित स्वर्ण कमल। मान्यवर सर्वश्रेष्ठ बाल फिल्म है मराठी फिल्म नाल 2। इस भावपूर्ण और संवेदनशील प्रस्तुतिकरण के लिए निर्माता जी एंटरटेनमेंट लिमिटेड और आर्ट पाथ प्रोडक्शंस प्राप्त कर रहे हैं स्वर्ण कमल, और इनकी ओर से श्री उमेश कुमार बंसल ग्रहण कर रहे हैं द गोल्डन लोटस। सर्वोच्च गोल्डन लोटस पुरस्कार प्राप्त कर रहे हैं श्री उमेश कुमार बंसल मराठी फिल्म नाल 2 की ओर से, और इसी फिल्म के निर्देशक श्री सुधाकर रेड्डी यकांती भी स्वर्ण कमल से गौरवान्वित किए जा रहे हैं।
Recognized for its sensitive portrayal of childhood bonds, adoption and emotional growth, Naal 2 elegantly captures a child's perspective in rural Maharashtra, conveying universal values through its gentle narrative.
राष्ट्रीय, सामाजिक और पर्यावरणीय मूल्यों का प्रोत्साहन करने वाली सर्वश्रेष्ठ फीचर फिल्म का पुरस्कार फिल्म सैम बहादुर के नाम। इस फिल्म के लिए निर्माता आरएसवीपी की ओर से श्री रोनीवाला स्क्रूवाला प्राप्त कर रहे हैं सिल्वर लोटस।
Well, those awards still being given out. The award ceremony is still underway. The big names, Rani Mukherjee, Shah Rukh Khan, Vikrant Massey, are receiving their awards. Of course, that ceremony continues. Kasturi Shankar and Tavishi, my colleague, continue to be with us on this broadcast, getting us their perspective as well. And Kasturi Shankar, we were talking about what really the national awards stand for, the kind of celebration that it is. And, just before these awards were handed out, we also did hear the Union IT Minister talk about Gen Zs, talk about content creators, about how filmmaking is not so much necessarily about making a 2-hour film. It's also about these short films that are made with very little budget, made with just barely cell phones now.
Very encouraging that the Union Minister took note of the changing nature of content creation in
Welcome back. Well, the Central Board of Secondary Education, or the CBSE, has tightened its rules for students of class 10th and 12th. And this is no new news. We've been hearing about some of these changes over the last few months. We decided to sit together, put all of these rules out together, and really try and bring out the story of the students and how the school authorities are taking note of this. To even sit for board exams, for instance, a student now needs at least 75% attendance across the full 2 years of study, not 1 year, 2 years. No shortcuts, no exceptions beyond medical or officially documented reasons. The message is loud and clear. Daily classroom learning is as important as the final exam. Internal assessments too are non-negotiable. Miss them and you're at risk of missing your exam. Now, they're going to essentially lead you to being in the essential repeat category. Private candidates will also find the route much stricter with new limits on who can reappear. For parents in schools, this is a warning to monitor attendance closely because leniency could cost a child their board eligibility. Let's break down the story, talk about it from a school perspective, student's perspective, and also a parent perspective. Joining me now is Neelam Chaudhary, principal of Sage International School in Bhopal. Also with us is Singh, principal of St. Karen's High School in Patna. And with us is Atharv Mishra, who's a class 12th student of Jawahar Vidya Mandir in Ranchi, and IIMUN, India's international movement to unite nations, world's largest youth run organization, has helped us get these lovely faces on board. Ms. Neelam, can I begin with you? Let's start with the principal's perspective. Very important how the school authorities are taking note of these big changes that have been made. All of this is going to happen for 2025, 26 and moving forward as well, if all of this works out to be successful. As a school principal, what are the biggest challenges so far you've encountered in just applying these rules and making it operational as possible in schools?
Yeah, thank you so much. I take it as CBSE's effort to align with NEP 2020, which emphasizes continuous assessment, consistent learning over time, and increased accountability of students as well as school. So I think it is a very good step taken by CBSE, and students have also understood, not only students, now parents are also understanding that it is very important for them to send their ward to school rather than only focusing on coaching classes. So it is important to have continuous learning and assessment also in schools.
So it's a welcome step, you're saying?
Yeah,
okay.
Of course, it
Ms.
is.
Seema, are you on board with that thought? Is that how you're looking at this as well? And what I do want from you is also a student's perspective. Before we ask Atharv about what he and his friends have made of these host of changes, tell us how students have reacted, have come to you and told you about these changes. What do they make of it? How upset or happy they are? What's the sentiment on ground?
See, education per se is just not about scoring marks in the final exams. It's about the presence, participation, and consistency. So this mandate clearly, which mandates 75% of attendance and internal examination, it reminds us that learning is a journey. It's just not a day's event, and we don't take it one day at a time. It's a regular, continuous, comprehensive journey which is involving all stakeholders, be it students, teachers, and parents. So I think it's a welcome move, but yes, there are challenges. we need to take this on with a lot of compassion, because what is happening here is there might be cases like students' side, they may have some very peculiar family problem, or they might be national sports children, or they might be some medical ailment which is plaguing them. So on if we view it from that point, so it has to have little bit of compassion and little bit of bending of rules for such extreme cases. Otherwise, definitely it's a welcome move, and I'm sure that students steadily, it will take a little time, but will fall in line, because otherwise we'll have a complete disconnect of students who are moving towards coaching classes and not coming to schools. So it's not healthy. You cannot gain knowledge in isolation. It
And any
has to
change
be
takes time,
collaborative.
Miss Seema, isn't it? Any change takes time, proper implementation takes
Right,
time, but you got to begin from somewhere, and that's the larger thought that's gone into these changes as well. I'm going to now go across to Atharv. Atharv, I do see you in your school uniform, but you're possibly going to miss some part of your school. I hope you're not losing out on attendance this morning. Okay, so an exemption for you, right? Okay.
Yes, my examinations are going on. I don't have a paper today, so I'm at my home.
Okay, lovely. So you're not losing out on any attendance. That was the one thing I was meaning to ask. Okay, Atharv, forget that there are two school principals on the panel with you. You know, we want a very raw version of what students feel about these host of changes from you. So tell us, Atharv, let's start with the 75% attendance. How are you and your friends looking at it?
First of all, I think that the 75% attendance and this whole compulsory internal assessments are a good thing. And most of the school-going students who attend schools regularly, maintain their attendance, feel positive about it because it brings balance to a student's life. My subjects are physics, chemistry and maths, and they build on each other. So if we skip too many classes, we are not able to catch up that easily. And I think this criteria of 75% attendance makes sure that we attend the classes regularly and don't cram things into our head at the last moment. I think it also discourages the culture of tummy schools, which a lot of school-going students are against, because it gives an unfair advantage to some of the people who have found these loopholes to get around this system. So I think most students feel positive about it, but there is general outrage in the coaching industry against it too. Students in the coaching feel that we would not get enough time for competitive examination preparation, and the school exams and school education is no more important. But I don't think that is the case with most students. We think that going to schools, it's not just about learning the subjects, but also about interacting with peers, building soft skills, and at the same time, I think strengthening our academic foundation. And so most students feel positive about it.
Atharv, spoken like a true student. I think you're a front bencher. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a very notorious thing to say, and I don't want to profile you like that, but that's a very good answer, and you've forced us to think about areas that we weren't thinking about. But tell us a little bit about what you just said, which is how for those who are interested in taking coaching classes, mostly for competitive exams, because a little bit of tuition, etc., can be managed, let's say, on weekends. It's the students who are looking at JEEs, NEETs, etc., that say that we're bearing the brunt. But they too have an option now. They can also opt for school via open learning, for instance. Do you think this was the need of the hour and students who were attending school regularly felt really neglected, or like you said, felt that there was a certain bias, a certain advantage that those who were opting for coaching enjoyed?
Yes, that's entirely true. I think the school, the tuitions and the coachings were meant to be complementary to the school education from the past many years. But I think over the past decade, because of the increasing competitiveness of the examinations, the entrance examinations, and the overall trend of getting your kid enrolled in coaching institutions, because parents feel that it's necessary now. I think that has led to this bias of school not being so important and going to start and only studying the 3 subjects that are going to be asked in an examination. So prioritizing only that. that is a thing. That is a real thing, and most students and many students, especially those preparing, those who have taken up physics, chemistry, maths, or physics, chemistry, biology, and are preparing for the JEE or NEET, they feel that this 75% attendance thing is a little bit too harsh on them, because it leaves them with less time to prepare for the competitive examinations. And with 5 days or 4 days in the week, when we attend coaching, 4 hours, 5 hours, then the time to commute, it leaves no time for self-study for most of the students. And in that, it does seem to be a little harsh. But what many don't realize is, and what the school-going students actually feel, is that going to school is not just about learning. When we prepare for competitive exams, I know many of my friends who are preparing for competitive exams, who have opted for dummy schooling, who are not going to school, they've isolated themselves.
Yeah.
So after that isolation, if they are not able to perform well in competitive exams or even in their coaching classes, that builds up a mental block. It pressurizes them a lot. While for us, school-going students, we have a peer group. We have our teachers who support us. We have our mentors who constantly...
And you have extracurricular activities which keep you going. So you're socializing all along. That's one thing that students who are opting for a dummy system are missing out on. Ms. Chaudhary, you want to come in on that and really talk about the subjects too. There's a whole revision that we're seeing of how exams are going to be approached too. For instance, very recently on the Breakfast Club, we had a conversation about the whole open book test system that's also going to be looked at in the future. Internal assessments are being given as much importance. What's the thought behind this kind of a revised strategy? What is CBSE looking at doing, and what kind of communications essentially have happened between school principals or teachers and the board?
Yeah.
I think that...
I thought that's for Ms. Chaudhary. I'll come back to you in just a bit.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
CBSE is disseminating all these informations and guidelines through emails on regular basis. They keep, sending circulars often to all these schools, and through that they convey to the, principals, and principal then further convey to the teachers as well as to the parents that this is a mandate, and we have to, look forward for the, regular attendance of students. 75% is mandatory, and continuous assessment is also important, and it is now very important for students of 10th and 12th class to appear in all internal submit projects and assignments on regular basis. We cannot...
So what happens, Ms. Chaudhary, if someone misses out on their internal assessment and appears directly for their exam, are they going to be declared ineligible? How is this going to work out?
Yes, ma'am. Now it has been guided by CBSE that those who will miss out, or fail to meet the attendance threshold or missing internal assessment are not just disallowed to disappear in exams. They could be placed in essential repeat category also.
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Seema, tell us now a little bit about this whole concept of taking a 2-year session, a whole 2-year academic session as one. What's the thought that's gone there? So, for instance, is your attendance for both 9th and 10th going to be seen collectively while you're appearing for class 10 board examination? How is this going to really work out, and what's the thought process that has gone into it? Why 2 years?
The very fact that in 9th the board registrations start, and that's the reason why children need to be very much aware of what's going on with regards to the board exams. So when you are passing out from 9th to 10th, attendance is a mandatory issue, right? So it will not be taken in totality per se.
Okay.
So from 9th going to 10th, you will have to cross that barrier of getting promoted only if you have a stipulated attendance with you. And if you see, the NEP itself is bringing changes in the examination pattern, like concept based. Now questions are going to be 50%. Rote learning is slowly and steadily weeding out. So when you have already people dealing with concepts, so what are all these competitive exams all about? They are necessarily application or skill-based questions from those concepts. So when we are going to be focusing majorly on the concepts, then definitely it is a win-win situation for all students to be there in the school.
The underlying feeling is that we must make our education system so effective that the need for coaching or the need for that entire ecosystem diminishes in the long term. It's of course a long journey, long way ahead. But thank you so much, Ms. Chaudhary, Ms. Seema and Athar, for joining us for this very wonderful conversation this morning. That's all we could pack for you for now. We head into a quick break. We're not done as yet. We'll be right back in just a bit.
Hello.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Vikrant Messi awarded for 12th Phil for portraying with raw honesty and emotional depth the transformative journey of a village boy, once aimless, later unstoppable to become an IPS officer.
विक्रांत मैसी राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार ग्रहण करते हुए और हिंदी फिल्म जवान में अपनी सशक्त प्रस्तुति के लिए श्री शाहरुख खान चुने गए हैं सर्वश्रेष्ठ अभिनेता। आपको प्रदान किया जा रहा है राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार का सम्मान।
अच्छा हो या बुरा हो, पुण्य हो या पाप हो, ये खुद से पूछना, क्योंकि मैं भी आप हूं।
Shah Rukh Khan, ladies and gentlemen, globally renowned actor and producer, delivers a powerhouse performance in Jawan, bringing to life a hero who batters not only enemies but also social boundaries.
सर्वश्रेष्ठ अभिनेता का पुरस्कार ग्रहण करते हुए श्री शाहरुख खान। सर्वश्रेष्ठ निर्देशन के पुरस्कार के लिए अब मंच पर श्री सुदीप्तो सेन का स्वागत करते हैं, जिन्हें हिंदी फिल्म द केरला स्टोरी में उनके निर्देशन को सराहते हुए उन्हें स्वर्ण कमल से विभूषित किया जा रहा है।
Nalini Unnikrishnan, a Hindu from Kerala.
Tell me, when exactly you joined ISIS?
Sudipto Sen wins for the Kerala story for masterfully capturing each frame to heighten the emotional gravity and realism of the narrative.
श्री सुदीप्तो सेन प्राप्त कर रहे हैं द गोल्डन लोटस। सर्वश्रेष्ठ एनिमेशन, विजुअल इफेक्ट्स, गेमिंग और कॉमिक फिल्म का पुरस्कार तेलुगु फिल्म हनुमान के एनिमेटर और वीएफएक्स सुपरवाइजर श्री वेंकट कुमार जेटी के नाम। आपकी रचनात्मकता का सम्मान करते हुए आपको प्रतिष्ठित स्वर्ण कमल से नवाजा जा रहा है।
Ladies and gentlemen, for its curious blend of live action, animation and visual effects, Hanuman proves that technical excellence and emotional depth can coexist, earning its place as a visual spectacle.
और मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ फिल्म हनुमान के प्रोड्यूसर प्राइम्स एंटरटेनमेंट की ओर से श्री निरंजन रेड्डी। आप भी ग्रहण कर रहे हैं द गोल्डन लोटस। तालियों का जोश बनाए रखें, क्योंकि फिल्म हनुमान के डायरेक्टर श्री प्रशांत वर्मा पेनमेंसा को भी उनके उत्कृष्ट योगदान के लिए प्राप्त हो रहा है गोल्डन लोटस। फिल्म हनुमान के डायरेक्टर श्री प्रशांत वर्मा पेनमेंसा मंच पर पधारते हुए आप ग्रहण कर रहे हैं प्रतिष्ठित स्वर्ण कमल। मान्यवर सर्वश्रेष्ठ बाल फिल्म है मराठी फिल्म नाल 2। इस भावपूर्ण और संवेदनशील प्रस्तुतिकरण के लिए निर्माता जी एंटरटेनमेंट लिमिटेड और आर्ट पाथ प्रोडक्शंस प्राप्त कर रहे हैं स्वर्ण कमल और इनकी ओर से श्री उमेश कुमार बंसल ग्रहण कर रहे हैं द गोल्डन लोटस। सर्वोच्च गोल्डन लोटस पुरस्कार प्राप्त कर रहे हैं श्री उमेश कुमार बंसल मराठी फिल्म नाल 2 की ओर से और इसी फिल्म के निर्देशक श्री सुधाकर रेड्डी यकांती भी स्वर्ण कमल से गौरवान्वित किए जा रहे हैं।
Recognized for its sensitive portrayal of childhood bonds, adoption and emotional growth, Naal 2 elegantly captures a child's perspective in rural Maharashtra, conveying universal values through its gentle narrative.
राष्ट्रीय सामाजिक और पर्यावरणीय मूल्यों का प्रोत्साहन करने वाली सर्वश्रेष्ठ फीचर फिल्म का पुरस्कार फिल्म सैम बहादुर के नाम। इस फिल्म के लिए निर्माता आरएसवीपी की ओर से श्री रोनीवाला स्क्रूवाला प्राप्त कर रहे हैं सिल्वर लोटस।
Welcome back. Well, it was a day when Indian cinema stood tall. The National Film Awards ceremony turned into a stage of history and the world has gone absolutely nuts for Shah Rukh Khan. After 30 years of superstardom, the king of Bollywood finally took home his very first national award, as you see on your screens, for the film Jawan. A roar from the fans, a flood of celebration online.
The iconic actress, known for her portrayal of resilient women characters, delivers an exceptional performance in Mrs.
And there you have alongside him Rani Mukherjee, the queen of powerhouse roles, collecting her first ever national award too for Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, a film that moved the audience to tears, and now the performance that's earned her the country's highest acting honour. And then Vikrant Massey, the man of the moment, his work in 12th Fail captured the struggle and dreams of millions, and there you see him collecting the award from the president of the country. And to crown it all, Mohanlal honoured with the Dada Saheb Phalke Award. 4 decades, hundreds of films, a career of unmatched versatility. So today, Indian cinema bowed before true legend, and that's what we saw. These are visuals from last evening. The ceremony was held at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi, where the president presented the awards to the winners. That's all we could pack for you for now. We left you with those visuals. We come to the end of today's show, but lots more lined up through the rest of the week. Don't forget to send in your suggestions on our official website. We'll see you tomorrow at 8. Bye-bye.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Vikrant Massey awarded for 12th Fail for portraying with raw honesty and emotional depth the transformative journey of a village boy, once aimless, later unstoppable to become an IPS officer.
विक्रांत मैसी राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार ग्रहण करते हुए और हिंदी फिल्म जवान में अपनी सशक्त प्रस्तुति के लिए श्री शाहरुख खान चुने गए हैं सर्वश्रेष्ठ अभिनेता। आपको प्रदान किया जा रहा है राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार का सम्मान।
अच्छा हो या बुरा हो, पुण्य हो या पाप हो, ये खुद से पूछना, क्योंकि मैं भी आप हूं।
Shah Rukh Khan, ladies and gentlemen, globally renowned actor and producer, delivers a powerhouse performance in Jawan, bringing to life a hero who battles not only enemies but also social boundaries.
सर्वश्रेष्ठ अभिनेता का पुरस्कार ग्रहण करते हुए श्री शाहरुख खान। सर्वश्रेष्ठ निर्देशन के पुरस्कार के लिए अब मंच पर श्री सुदीप्तो सेन का स्वागत करते हैं, जिन्हें हिंदी फिल्म द केरला स्टोरी में उनके निर्देशन को सराहते हुए उन्हें स्वर्ण कमल से विभूषित किया जा रहा है।
कृष्ण, एक हिंदू